Hey, it's Virginia Manning with Prosper Under Pressure, and welcome to another awesome episode of Girl Talk with Virginia in the Better Empowered series. The Better Empowered series, this is probably like the third week of the series, and we have been diving into more strategic and purposeful ways for women, especially professional women, to feel more empowered so that you can continue striving for your next level of success. Leveling up is the key to professional women's happiness, fruitfulness, and living life on your terms. So today's Better Empowered episode is about self-care. And we are going to dive into three powerful tricks that will invigorate you, give you more energy, and make you feel better and make you feel more secure about your purposeful and intentional ways and strategies of implementing self-care into your daily, that's right, I said daily, into your daily routine. That's important. So, what would self-care or doing more for you, what would that look and feel like? Have you ever just sat back and visualized and took a moment to yourself, a moment of meditation, and thought about, I am doing so much for everybody else. I'm doing so much for my job. I'm doing so much for my family. I'm doing so much for everyone else and everything else. What would it look like if I did more for me? How would I feel? What would that look like? That's important. And I'll tell you why visualizing and thinking about your self-care is important, because you are the centerpiece of everything else. And if you, the centerpiece that's on the table, that's laid out, if you aren't well mentally, physically, spiritually, then you are no good and you cannot help all of the other areas of your life be more fruitful. And that's important. But you have to practice self-care. Every day in my private practice, not every day, a lot of the women in my private practice, yes, I guess you could say every day, I have at least one or two women that I see throughout the day who are experiencing anxiety. They're overwhelmed, they're overworked, they're not taking care of themselves. They're thinking that if I take care of myself first, something is terribly wrong with that picture. They're tired, they feel defeated, they're unmotivated. And they're doing everything right. They have the career, they have the nice family, they have money, they have all of these other things, but still feel like all of those things are not being effective. They're not being worthy, like they're not being seen or they're not being heard. Tired, defeated, and unmotivated are products of lack of self-care. Just imagine being at home, and it could be a day that you're relaxing. I mean, everybody is doing their own thing and you should be sitting there relaxing. But guess what? You can't, because you're too busy trying to super duper unwind from a week of overwhelm. And then you're still sitting there thinking about what you can do for your job, what you can do for the family, what you can do for this person. But you fail to sit and think about what you could do for you. And ladies, you are important. Don't let anxiety take over. Take care of yourself. Listen to this scenario. How about when you have everything scheduled except for you? If you open up your calendar right now, whether it's on your phone or if you have the real paper calendars, organizers, if you look in that calendar and that organizer, even if it's something for work, the one for work and the one that you have for personal use, you will see that there's nothing in there for you. If there is, it's something so meaningless, so small and so meaningless to you that you don't even do it most of the time anyway. So this is one tip that you could do to help make your self-care more important. This is a trick that you need to use. What you need to do, put yourself in the routine of indulging in yourself, having some favorites, some hobbies, some relaxation time scheduled in for you. And why does it have to be intentionally and purposefully scheduled in? Because if you don't schedule it in, right along with the kids' doctor's appointments, your husband's events, your work events, if you don't schedule it into their calendar, it like it doesn't exist. And when it looks like it doesn't exist because it's not already into your schedule, then you will not do it. You always put it on the back burner and saying, that's okay. I don't have to do it. It's not in my calendar. I'm not committed to it because it's not on paper. That's one trick. Schedule yourself with routine, self-indulgence, your favorites, your hobbies, relaxation, whatever it is that you like to do, schedule it, visualize it, make it an important part of your daily, weekly, lifelong routine. That's how you implement self-care. What about this? Are you always on a 24-hour anxiety shift? You go to sleep anxious. You wake up anxious. You're anxious throughout the day. You're overwhelmed, worried. You have fears. You have doubts that you're not doing enough. You fear that you're going to not complete a task for the day. Those things are not healthy for a professional woman. It's not going to help you be more productive. And it's not going to help you to level up. But I tell you what will. Trick number 2. Once again, schedule those breaks and days off. Not just weekly things or daily 30-minute breaks or 30-minute hobbies or hour hobbies or whatever you like to do, but you need to schedule real breaks. And right now, in the midst of the COVID, of course, you can't take that nice vacation that you would love to take. Therefore, you need to schedule breaks. I tell some of my women who come to see me who are so overwhelmed and can't get time in for themselves, guess what? Take a staycation. Take some time off. Go reserve a motel or a hotel. Find you somewhere with a nice little pool or nice scenery somewhere on the other end of town from where you live at, and just make it a nice little relaxation day. Find you a nice book, some puzzles, something, whatever it is you need to do to take yourself a break. You deserve it. But once again, it has to be scheduled, not just 30 minutes, but a whole day off to intentionally and purposely focus on you. Your self-care matters to make sure that you are better empowered. And what's another trick? Oh, this is one that women really lack in big time. Do you feel like when you do something for yourself, it's being selfish? Do you feel like, oh, if I go work out at the gym for 30 minutes, or if I go to the spa for 30 minutes, that's time that I could be working on this job assignment. It's time that I could be spending with my kids. It's time that I could be helping my kids with homework. It's time that I could be watching TV. No, no, no. Don't feel like when you do something for yourself, it's being selfish. What's the key word? Self-care. When you do something for yourself, ladies, it's considered self-care. It's not being selfish, because guess what? You're not telling your kids no. You're not telling your job no, that I won't do the project at this moment. You're not telling your husband no, I can't sit down and watch TV for 30 minutes or whatever. What you're saying is just not right now. Because right now, I need to focus on me. I need to do something for myself. Reward yourself. Reward yourself for the hard work that you do all day, all week, all month, all of your life, the hard work you've been putting into being able to be as productive and successful as you are today. Don't stop. Reward yourself, but you have to intentionally and purposely put yourself first. Self-care is not being selfish. Self-care means that I know that I am the centerpiece of this legacy that I'm trying to build, of trying to be successful and have more for me and my family. Therefore, I have to take care of myself. Self-care is a very important part of being successful. And not only being successful, but continuing to level up to your next level of success. Right, ladies? Visualize it. What would that look like? What would it look like if you were able just to take a breath and say, look, this is my time. It's okay for me to have some time to myself. It's okay for me to breathe. Because guess what? After you take your breather and take your break and you're stressless, then you have to go back and do more. But if you don't ever release stress and you continue to let stress, overwhelm, tiredness, defeatness, unmotivated, all of those things that you experience when you don't practice self-care, if you let those things continue to build up and you never empty it, that's why you become so anxious, overwhelmed, because you do not release stress in order to take more stress on. Because if you're doing anything successful, if you're leveling up, you're going to have stress. Stress is a sign of success, but you do not have to let stress take over. You do not have to let stress keep you from leveling up. You do not have to let stress be a routine in your life. Your new routine, ladies, is self-care. We're going to get rid of all of the overwhelm, all of the stress, all of the anxiety. We're going to manage those things. And our new practice, our new routine of living is self-care. Remember, it's not being selfish. And I want you to be able to visualize that, to see how it feels and look, to practice self-care. I tell you, it's awesome. It'll help you breathe better every day. It's like every day you will be breathing a fresh breath of air. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to automate these things into your life. I want you to automate your self-care routines, the new routines, the things you like to do, the things that help you to breathe freely, so that when you go back into your stressful life of gaining success, you're less stressful. So if you're less stressful, you can take on more stress, which means you can level up more. So in your calendar, I want you to start scheduling things and time and stuff, whatever you want to call it, hobbies, events, favorites, relaxation, self-indulgence. I want you to schedule it intentionally and purposefully. Schedule those things into your calendar today. If you use your phone, fine. If you use a organizer, fine. But I want you to put at least 2 things that you love to do into your schedule and stick to it. Now, I know things arise where, sometimes you have to get off of your schedule, and that's fine. For the most part, your routine of self-care should be your norm. There's exceptions to the norm, which when, kids sick, there's an emergency meeting, that's fine. But for the most part, you should be in a routine of self-care. And guess what? I want you to go a step farther, not just writing it into your calendar, because that's for your memory, but I want you to tell everybody in your family, whoever lives in your household, look, Friday at 2:00 or whatever, however you may plan it out, that is the day that I go to the spa. Don't call my phone unless an emergency. Don't say, hey, Mom, I got my appointment on Friday at 2:00. Everybody who is involved in your life should know your self-care routine. Why? Because they have to respect it. And if you respect it by putting it in your schedule and letting everyone know that that is a time that you have for yourself, so you could de-stress, so you could be the best you for them, they will respect it. And they will give you your time without making you feel guilty, right? So that's what I want you to do. Automate your self-care. Make it a routine, make it purposeful, make it an intentional part of your life. As a professional woman, it will not hurt you, your career, your family, or anyone else if you practice self-care. And keep that thought in your mind that self-care is not selfish. You need it, you need it, you need it. You might have to start off by visualizing, what would that feel like? What would it look like? What would that look like as a new me, to be able to practice self-care, to be better empowered by implementing the practice and the routine of caring for myself? You care for everyone else. It's time to care for you. Guess what? It's time to level up, right? And that's part of leveling up, to know that you are just as important as all of those other things you do in your life. And guess what? I promise you, it really, really works. If you intentionally put self-care as a part of your routine and automate it into your life, you're going to see a different level of the way you feel, and a different level of the way that you're productive, a different level of the way you interact with other people in your life, because you're going to be less stressed, less tired, less defeated, and less unmotivated because you are less stressed. Don't let that anxiety take over. You are in control by practicing self-care. And I want you to remember that you are better empowered. And empowered doesn't stop. Empowered is a continuous cycle of how you should live your life. And self-care is only one part of it. Because guess what? This Better Empowered series is continuing for the next 5 episodes. So I want you to make sure you tune in for the next 5 episodes. Go back and rewatch the last 2 Better Empowered episodes because those were just as powerful as today is. And if you don't want to miss an episode, or if you don't want to, if you want to get an alert, or if you want to be able to go back and rewatch or replay one of the Better Empowered episodes or any of the other Girl Talk episodes, be sure to subscribe because you don't want to miss this, okay? You are a professional woman, and this is about you having what you need to continue leveling up and up and up and up. Because guess what? You're unstoppable. And I'm going to give you the tools that you need so together we can work on making sure you stay empowered as a professional woman. And guess what? Next week, if you think today's episode was powerful, the self-care episode of Better Empowered was powerful, wait till next week. Next week, we're going to talk about making connections that inspire you to make big, big moves. That's right. Those moves got to be big. They have to be big. And you've been making big moves, but guess what? We're not ever going to stop. There's no roof to the top of what a professional woman can do towards leveling up and being successful. There's no resistance, there's no cap, and there's no limit. We're no limit soldiers, right? Guess what, ladies? Don't forget, subscribe at bit.ly/P YouTube to the Better Empowered series. And I'll see you next week. It's been a glorious time. Go back and rewatch this episode because there were a lot of nuggets in there. You should have been taking notes. And make sure you do the assignment of automating, making sure you are an instrumental part of self-care because self-care is for you. And if you are right, everything else is going to fall in place. So I'll see you next week where we dive into our next episode of Better Empowered. It's been real. I love you. I love working with you. And I know that today has blessed your life, but you have to go back and put some action into all of the steps that I gave you, those 3 tricks. Go back and do them. Put them into action. And I'll see you next week, ladies. Be blessed.